Hey guys, welcome to Shut Up and Talk to Me podcast. This is episode 6. We're at episode 6. Six weeks of this, Dan.
We made it again.
We need to find a new, beginning to... Yeah, we made it. We're not making it anywhere. We're just doing more of these. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, I'm Dan.
I'm Chris. And we're going to talk about everything American culture again.
Again.
That's
week.
Kind of the idea.
Next week we're a fishing podcast, but this week we're sticking with the American culture.
Next week is all about bass fishing. This week, American culture. So there's something that I brought up to Dan a while back. I'm really bitchy about this subject, but I kind of like it at the same time.
Yeah, I was about to say, you started out really negative about it, and then you switched gears a little bit on that one.
Well, yeah, okay. So we're talking about the Olympics in Rio, and
yes,
there's a lot of negatives, obviously, which we're going to get into.
Yeah, but let's soften the blow with some positives.
Yeah, so at first when Rio was, announced and whatever, I mean, they're announced years in advance. But when it's 2016, it's coming up, I was really boycott Rio, fuck this, I was really against it because I knew what it did negatively, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to compound that with, I'm a huge sports fan. Of
huge.
Of every sport, just competition in general. I hate baseball, right? So I don't like that one. But I
don't know who does. I really don't know who specifically likes baseball anymore.
People,
I know somebody does.
So if you go to a baseball game, if you go, we're in Colorado, you go to the Rockies game, right?
Yeah. There's
always old people, and they always have the books.
No, yeah,
and they're doing stats.
What is it called? I mean, it's statistics, but it's I can't remember. There's an actual term for it. But yeah, those people.
Yeah, so they love it.
Yeah,
everyone else goes to the Rockies games just to eat food and get drunk.
Yeah, it's like a way to waste an afternoon.
It really is just a way to waste time. It's cheap in general, whatever. We're not talking about baseball.
Yeah.
But I'm a sports fan, so deep down, I still ended up, turning on the games, even though I was fuck Rio, fucking boycott this, I can't stand this. I still, at one point, I was, about to play video games, and I was no, I'll go to NBC. I'll take a look. And, of course, I sat there for, 2 hours, go fucking USA, yeah!
Yeah! So you like watching the games, you're enjoying it.
In general, yeah, in both Olympics, there's a lot of sports that I don't care about.
That's most people's opinion.
They're really, super old-fashioned, why do we still have, the discus? Why is that still a thing?
Do you do all the track and field ones? That's what I was talking to someone and it was who does these? How do you even get into, I'm going to throw a heavy rock?
I want to be a shot putter. Do you have to Google that? I don't... So, I don't know. Someone gets them into it, they end up at, an Olympic coaching place or something, and they're you got big arms, you should be a shot putter. I don't fucking know, dude.
I don't know how you get into it, but they're there. Somebody likes them.
And, I got an argument with a friend of mine online, and she was she loves the field sports instead of the track. She's I don't want to watch people running around for 30 laps. And I'm people love racing. This is why NASCAR is massive. If you don't like this, don't watch NASCAR.
Racing,
don't ever turn on NASCAR because they race for 4 hours straight instead of the 20 minutes you're bitching about in the fucking 10,000 meter race, right?
That's just that, because there's what the Usain Bolt stuff is all 50 meters, 100 meters.
He's
those
a sprinter.
Yeah, the sprinting things are 9 seconds.
That's what she said, is that she enjoyed the sprinting stuff.
Okay.
But
any of
the long
stuff,
crap,
yeah.
she was I don't care about that. Show me more field stuff. And I was you want to watch people throw a ball for a distance? How boring is that?
Is that what is the long jump count as?
That's field.
Is that field? Okay.
Yeah,
I mean everything that's just not directly on that track is.
From what
field.
I know, I'm not a fucking expert on
I have
anything.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure everything else is field besides really racing and
I guess it kind of makes sense. You have track and then the field and all the stuff that happens on the field is probably field.
Exactly. Okay. So she was just I want to see more field stuff, and she was even talking about she has Roku and they have an extension to go on the NBC app, and they'll show you whatever games you whatever sport you want to see, except it'll be like just cameras, and there'll be no
No,
commentators.
it's just they
You'll
have the
be
cameras up and like.
Well, and yet, and people will have the cameras too. Like they'll have actual cameramen, but they'll be like focused on like on the Olympians, like just sitting there like taping themselves up for 20 minutes.
Right.
She was literally telling me that. I'm like, wow, that's ridiculous. Like, whatever. Like, it's people like what they like.
But it's like
we got into it like more. Our argument was more about like I'm trying to explain to her that racing is way more popular than shot put.
ew, yeah, I feel like you shouldn't have to explain that, but yeah, okay.
Right? Like, but it was just something I was just like, this is way more popular. That's why we're seeing it.
Like track and field kind of exists. Like all the field stuff kind of exists on the back of track. Like
yeah, it really does.
Like
it
that's
really does.
That's the main draw.
And it's funny that the track stuff, like as far as the racing, the long races, I pretty much only saw the long races. I didn't see any of the sprinting shit, which is what I like.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that over? I haven't. So I
think the track and field stuff is ending.
Okay.
At this point, what are we on the August 16th?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's
it's Tuesday the 16th. So I think track and field stuff is ending. I don't really know what they're going into next. They've already done swimming and gymnastics. Anything I care about. So I know there's still hockey and soccer probably
hockey
still would be done. I don't know. Did I say hockey?
You just said hockey.
They do field hockey, right?
That might be, yeah.
Yeah, I think they still do field hockey. People bashing each other, but yeah. Rugby's already done, I think.
Yeah, that was
because
close. Yeah,
I think it's done because didn't like the Samoans win? That's not a country.
Was it? Who was the? There was some country I saw some random article about, and it was like...
And it's the first time they've ever won a medal or something.
Okay, yeah,
It was for rugby.
Okay, so then, yeah, so I think it was the article about, like, there was just, like, a team full of, like, random guys. I can't... Namibia, maybe? No, I'm thinking of other stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. So, I mean, I like the games. It's not that I like the Olympics in general. Like, I more so like competition.
You just like the competition.
I watch gaming competition. Like, I'll watch, like, League of Legends. Like, I don't even play League. But I'll watch the competition because I'm like, that was a cool snipe. Like, he did something cool.
Like, I've played enough Vainglory to know that thing's hard. Like,
yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean... Okay, so we like people that like sports. This is kind of a big thing. It's really huge for pride in nations. Like national pride it's massive.
Right. Yeah. Like
I have a buddy in Britain right now who's just every post is like Olympics. Yeah, and he's loving it, and I'm like, man, you're really into this. Like,
it's the country that gave us hooligans, I believe.
Did you see the movie Green Street Hooligans?
No.
Oh my god, you need to watch that movie.
Look,
everyone needs to watch that movie.
You gotta quit telling me to watch movies.
I know, right? You just don't watch. I've seen like a million movies, and you've seen like 4. You're like Fight Club, and I'm like, fuck Fight Club. I've seen that a million times. You're like Matrix, and I'm like, fuck Matrix. I've seen that a million times.
Why are you throwing me under the bus with this shit I haven't watched in like a decade?
You told me you watched The Matrix like a couple of weeks ago. So, yep. You were like, I watched it. Anyway.
I watched part of it, and it was on TV, and I was like, all right,
go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You know
How dare
you?
Point. How dare
Watch more movies.
I get your point.
Watch more movies.
But
Quit watching fucking Teen Titans Go. I tried watching Teen Titans Go, by the way. That was a thing we did on our podcast a couple weeks ago. And I can't get into it.
Yeah, okay.
I tried. I really did. I got like 5, 6, 12 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized, I'm like, this is way too childish for me. Like, I'm not getting what Dan's getting out of it.
Okay, yeah.
So, that's just one thing. We all have, there's going to be movies that I'm going to be like, oh, you got to watch this. And you're like, it was meh.
Everybody's got their thing that they're into. So I was going to sort of bring this background from the derail. I was going to say earlier so you're into competition. You like watching sports and the Olympics and just anything competition. I'm the exact opposite. I hate watching sports. I can't stand watching sports. I don't want to watch the Olympics. I don't want to watch... Like, I played ice hockey for 13 years. I barely ever watched it. I don't like watching it. I do not watch sports at all.
Esports?
So the E-League thing was on recently, and there was a few times where I was, like, making dinner, and I was just like, I got 10 minutes to burn while this cooks, like, and I'd, like, flip that on because nothing else, and I was too lazy to put anything else on.
So you got to see how well it was cast. And
it's like it's much like, esports casting is so much better now than it was even, like, 5 years ago, but, like, Yeah, even then, I only watched it for a few minutes, and I was like, yeah, it's enough that crap.
Right.
So I don't watch sports at all.
Yeah, that's understandable. But
anyways,
you still have opinions on the Olympics.
Certainly, because
it's very. I mean, is political the right word?
It's just a social thing. It's such a gigantic social force at this point.
Right, but it kind of involves politics.
But like I'll say societal force.
Right. Okay.
That includes, so it's politics, it's economics, it's social stuff, it's social media, like everything. I mean, it's the Olympics, it's everywhere, and it touches everything.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
So certainly I'm not watching the Olympics, but I know they exist, and I have opinions, and whatever.
Okay.
I'm there with you.
Jump right into the economic impacts.
Yes, let's go. The Olympics and the competition are cool. Let's go to the horrible thing.
Yeah. So, okay. If you weren't aware for some reason, there's a lot of negative. Pretty much every country is screwed over after they do the Olympics. Like, everything negative happens. And so when they catch the Olympics, it's kind of like, why? What are you doing? Like, this is going to end up bad. And, like, even in July, like, Rio, like, they had, like, an emergency, financial emergency that they announced, like, they needed help. This is in July, like, right before the freaking Olympics.
I think the entirety of their preparation was a financial emergency, but they made it official in July.
Well, yeah, the governor came out and was like, we're screwed. Like, no one's going to eat in this city.
And I remember, what was there like... Because they were having all these, like, local problems, like, the police force wasn't getting paid, and, like, it was all this,
Yeah, the police force wasn't getting paid, and they really need the police force for something like this.
Yeah, when you've got a bazillion people from all over the world coming in, you kind of need...
There's already been terrorist attacks at Olympic events already, because they know what it is.
But even then, I was just like, just like basic social interaction, you need police officers around, let alone, like, any of the crazy stuff like terrorism that could happen. So, yeah, you need... police officers, you need, like, all of your city workers, you need everybody, like, maintaining stuff. Like, there's so many, like, the Olympics cost a lot of money, just from top to bottom, front to back, not just building stadiums and building stadiums and building living quarters, but, like, you need so much infrastructure. You need to be able to handle all these people being in your city. You need police force, you need, trash collectors, like, you need everything.
Yeah, so to kind of frame that a little bit, London costs an estimated $15 billion, in Sochi in Russia, costs $21.9 billion estimated, and we're looking right now, as far as the numbers that we totaled up, was around $16 billion.
That we looked up. I didn't total anything.
Well, we kind of we did what we could. Yeah,
but the estimation was that this one was going to cost $15 billion, but they're already, like, overrunning and crazy.
They're 51% over budget already.
Yeah, so, like, Rio itself was supposed to pick up $3 billion of the cost.
Right.
And they already went over to 4.6.
Yep.
So, and if assumedly the rest is probably going over as well, so
it totally is.
Yeah, so this is probably beyond 15 at this point. Like,
it's
billions,
and
billions of dollars.
Okay, so talking about the negative impacts, so there's this thing that came out called the mare. Mare is like, there's a little city that's along the highway,
and it's
driving south into, like, where Rio really is, and, like,
it's like a suburb almost.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it was really like the ghetto, like the slums. I don't know, what do they call them?
The favelas.
Favelas, yeah.
Listen to the two whitest guys try and say these Portuguese words.
Right. Samare was a favela, and
was or is?
It still is technically. I think they removed a lot of people from the area.
Okay,
we'll get to that though. So this highway goes down from their international airport all the way through Rio and down to, like, the really famous beaches that we hear about in, like, old, like, songs, like Ipanema. And there's another one. There's, like, two really famous beaches that we hear everywhere. Anyways, so in the past couple years, along the highway, a wall mysteriously showed up. People were just building a wall along the highway. And it's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, the people in Mare were like, what the fuck are you doing? And Rio's explanation to them was that, like, the highway is too loud. we're keeping out sound.
This
it's
is
for
a
your
silence
benefit.
wall for you.
Yeah, it's for your benefit. The highway's too loud.
We're building this wall around you for your benefit.
Exactly. There's never where you're building this wall around us. Yeah, it's for you. There's never a positive. Like,
no, it's like we're putting these handcuffs on for your protection. Like it's totally,
exactly.
it's the super like that's such a backwards way to explain things, especially like and the fact that they didn't like the fact that they had to ask that question, why is this being built here, means that they. It sounds like they didn't really consult with these people and say, "Hey, is this highway making noise?"
They didn't consult.
Yeah,
with them.
exactly.
It's fucking real. They don't consult with anyone. Like they just do what they do, and then like so you get to a point in the highway where it opens up the wall, but that's where they built like this brand new fancy ass school, and so they want you to see the fucking brand new thing that they built. But they really don't want tourists to see the shanty town.
They want you to see their brand new wall and then the brand new city after the wall, not everything on the other side of the wall.
In between.
Yeah.
No. And so this was really called a social cleansing. Since 2009, which is when Rio nabbed the bidding, I guess, for the Olympics.
Okay, when they got the bid for...
Yeah, for the 2016 Olympics. 77,200 people have been removed from their homes. And this is to make way for infrastructure and buildings for the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad. So they were paid, essentially.
Okay, I was wondering, so were they...
They give them just a shitty little amount of money, and they're like, well, we're going to way up here into the mountains. And they're like, well, we're way far away from Ipanema and all the cool stuff about Brazil. Like, we're Rio residents. Like,
we didn't move to this city so that we could move 20 miles away from the city.
No.
So they've been relocated.
The town is already known for being really sick, really poor. I mean, it's just bad. Like you look at that from that one angle, that one thing that I brought up, and you're like, fuck the Olympics. Like, look what it does to people.
Well, and that's the local. So again, this is like a huge kind of problem in talking about this is that all we have is the outsider's perspective.
Yes.
So all we've got is news reports and whatever blogging and just whatever super biased things that we get our hands on.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We're also looking at things just from being Americans and from our perspective. So we're never going to be like super accurate, or we have our finger on the pulse of Rio. Like we don't know what's going on, but like we know what's going on, and it's. Like, you can look at this, and just from, like, that really high-level disconnected view, I mean, it's really... The games are costing at least $4.6 billion. I bet if they invested $100 million in this neighborhood, that neighborhood would probably have gotten a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, so a favela it's going to be a favela forever. Like, you're not going to, like, clean up a favela. You have to remove it and then build homes.
But like, they could totally, they could remove it or just, there's so many things. Job programs, get people, like, working, get them paid more. Like, there's so much, like, you have to invest in your people for them to have things.
They don't give a fuck.
I know.
That's the problem. That's what we're running into. It happened in Sochi. It's happening, if you're not a first world country or a first world anything, like, it's probably happening to you if you're involved in the Olympics.
It's probably happening here too. It's just not as obvious. I
mean, yeah, in Atlanta, like here's what doesn't happen. Like we were talking about Sarajevo. I don't know why I always screw that up. Where is that again?
Yugoslavia.
Okay. So they are known for having like the worst. Like they didn't repurpose anything afterwards. They just abandoned it and walked away and were like, haha. Like
so they built all this stuff and they had the Olympic Games, they have all this housing and all the like the downhill, like the long jump for the ski things. There's a Winter Olympics and
and you guys got to keep in mind that for every Olympics they have to build, and I don't know why, I think this is in like the IOC, the International Olympic Committee's like in their rulings or
whatever it is.
In their charter, they have to build an Olympic village.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of that is it's basically like a bunch of hotels that are for the athletes.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous. I'm sorry, like it just is. I understand building a couple for the countries that are really like third world coming in. They can't afford like their own housing, but I think countries should pay for their own housing.
But there's totally because like all of the housing and like it'll just be spread out all over the city, and then you have to worry about transportation and like. When you know where they're all going to live, you know that you have that centralized,
That's
like,
okay,
true. This is where they're going to live. We know exactly, like, we need to build a train from here, we need to build a road from, like, you know exactly where the
transportation... So they do it for a
reason,
specifically. But
that's just one that I came up with. Like, I'm sure they have plenty of reasons why they do
and
that.
I've heard, like, in the past that some first world countries, mind you, have repurposed them. Like Atlanta definitely did. They repurposed them into condominiums. That's the perfect way to repurpose something.
Yeah, condos, apartments, turn them into hotels. They're already hotels,
right?
Turn them into hotels.
So, and a lot of these other nations aren't doing it, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with Rio here when we're done. Is they're just going to abandon all of this crap, and they've already moved almost 80,000 people out of the way just to put this crap here.
Well, and a lot of stuff they've built. There's been a lot of complaints about the quality of the construction.
Oh my gosh, the Olympic Village, like, what country was it? Australia?
Yeah.
Belarus and a couple other countries did it too, but Australia came in and they were just like there's electrical wires hanging everywhere. Like, it's so bad.
There's water running down the walls.
Yeah, there's water running down the walls. There's just tile, like, piled up in random spots, like, just random, like, piles of rock.
Like, well, whatever.
Yeah, the contractors were just like, good enough.
I'm not cleaning this up.
I'm not cleaning this up. We don't need to clean this up.
Athletes, they're strong enough. They can lift it out.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, it's bad. So the living conditions for the people there are already bad, and then...
Oh, and so what I was going with that is, even if they wanted to repurpose it, it's already a fixer-upper.
Yeah,
like,
they already have to put way more money into it just to make it profitable.
Like, it's not like they built, like, a brand new They didn't build brand new condominiums that are going to be... That they can immediately, like, well, we moved all the athletes out, now people can start moving in. It's like, no, we built a brand new condominiums, and they're already at, like, 10 years worth... Like, they're 10 years behind in, like, repairs. So they can't repurpose those. Like, how you can't? Who's going to come in? Who's going to come in and be like...
It's bad, and there's so many problems already in the country. Like, this is why it's such a bad thing. Like, if you looked at I don't know, you heard we talked about the controversy about I guess it's a controversy. The diving pool in the swimming pool.
It's just a thing that happened. It's an occurrence.
Yeah, an occurrence. Sure. I couldn't think of. I told you I'm not really here tonight.
It's fine.
I'm here, but I'm not here. So the alkalinity in the water, like, got super off balance, and algae started growing. So the water turned green.
It's all, yeah. Like,
and it's like a ridiculous color green, too. It's
like St. Patty's Day, like,
yeah.
Like they did it on purpose green, like crazy green.
Yeah, and the officials said originally that it was still safe, technically. Which, I mean, I guess it probably was.
They're like, this has just the right amount of arsenic to be okay. You're like, all right, that's fine.
But then what happened? They
drained the pool.
They drained it and then took hundreds of gallons of water from...
Like a million something gallons?
Yeah,
like a bazillion...
Or like 100 million gallons. I don't know how many it was. It was a large number.
It was a lot of water.
And they took it from where? It was from another...
From like the diving pool or something?
No, they took it from like a training swimming pool.
Yeah, so from some other pool. I don't know. How'd they even get it there? Like...
Dude, I don't even want to know. Like, that. How much money did that cost?
There's like a big line of people with just like 2-gallon buckets, like just like, whoa.
Hey, what am I thinking of? I don't know. I can't think of the word.
Hey, I don't know. It's like
anyways, so there's problems after problems after problems, and I just don't. I mean, the national pride is so huge that it's like it's outweighing like everything that's happening in politics right now.
Yeah, so
no one gives a crap about that shit right now. Like, it's outweighing just about everything.
Yeah, so it's this huge... like I was saying earlier, it's a really big cultural thing. Like, it's just...
There's corruption.
Everybody... Yeah, so there's... So a lot of people are paying attention to this, but there's so many other things, and a big part of the economic thing is there's been... I mean, I haven't looked recently, but I remember there's an article about, like, possible... like, the senator... There was a senator involved with... something, and he's being indicted for corruption stuff and working with some company, and they're being indicted with corruption stuff.
There's a picture of him working with the IOC.
Yeah, and these are all companies and people that have been working directly on the Olympic stuff, and it's I remember this coming up in, like, Sochi a little bit, there was, like, a bunch of, like, where'd all this money go? Like, why aren't you just... It should be built.
The top people are lining their pockets. We know what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, top people are lining their pockets, and they're like, but as long as it's good enough, let's run it. Like, I feel like that's what they're really getting at. Like, as long as it's good enough, let's keep it going. Mm-hmm. In this Olympics, compared to, I don't know if it's a comparison, but they had a planned number of security that they were going to have, and it ended up having to hire 80,000 extra security personnel.
Oh, they had to hire extra 80,000?
Yeah.
I thought it was just total 80,000.
No, it's an extra 80,000 on top of what they initially thought they would need.
That's a lot.
How much money is that?
It's part of the $1 billion overrun.
Exactly. So it's just, we're building up all these problems, and we can keep going.
No, I mean, it's just it's such a huge event. It just costs, because everything costs money at this point. What
do they call this when we were looking it up online? Like a mega event?
Project.
Mega project, which also includes like the World Cup.
Yeah, so anything.
The other Olympics, I don't know.
Well, the rest of the Olympics, the World Cup, those are the easy ones. There's got to be others.
I don't think like Super Bowls count or anything.
No, because the stadiums are already built. Like, no, it's not a no. Anything that involves like the rest of the world. So like,
okay.
I assume that's what would fall into that, because like the Super Bowl, that's just America, and that's usually just like 2 teams fans and a handful of other people. And
I don't know. We're talking about getting teams from London.
Well, that's okay. That would be cool. The NFL being international would be cool, but
yeah, like really expanding it to an extent.
I mean, the rest of the world doesn't play gridiron the way we do.
No, and we'll talk about that at a later date, I'm sure, because I'm going to get all caught up in fantasy and like actual football. And I'm not going to think of anything else. So this podcast is going to turn into like fantasy mixed with whatever Dan wants to talk about.
I can't wait until you're that guy at the baseball stadium with his fucking...
I'm not... Well, I'll never be that guy. I might be at a football stadium.
You're sitting there, you're just like, yeah, stats. Yeah, what's the percentage of this? Like,
you're 8 yards. You did, yep, good job. Good job, Wilson.
Yes! I can't... So I have an algorithm. I know how to pick the winning characters this week.
I don't...
it's going to be great. But,
I mean, for your perspective in fantasy, buddy, I've played for years now. I think 5 years total. And I've never finished lower than third place. So, there's the science behind it. I don't care what anyone says. Like, they're like, it's super random. And
no.
Like,
have you seen this?
No.
Like, so there were, what was it, FanDuel's? The people that were doing like the one day.
FanDuel.
Yeah, like FanDuel, and there was a couple other ones that came up.
Yeah, I don't remember. That's the big one.
There was a huge, like there was like a lawsuit scandal kind of thing, and because they were, of course they were saying that they weren't gambling because.
Yep.
And then people, like the people that were winning on these sites, and they were winning crazy, had like PhDs in mathematics, and they had these huge algorithmic stuff, and they were doing like really crazy math, and they were actually like winning all the freaking time with this stuff that they were doing.
Which is crazy because there is an amount. It's like poker. Like there is an amount of luck.
There is a random element.
Yes,
but the competition or the strategy comes in from. It's like so in poker, the way I heard that it was balanced, or one of the ways that it was explained to me via just the internet, whatever, was that poker is balanced out because there's so many events. Right. So it's like each event has its own random, but like there is a way to, like, you're bluffing, and when you're really good at it, you can move the odds in your favor. And then when you're playing poker games, like when you play like 100 games in a month, then it ends up balancing out, and like the winners walk away like 80% of the time winning. Like
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's in the long term, it does. There's still a huge random chance, but it still is gambling. Like,
yeah, and I mean, like, gambling is illegal online in America, right? In general,
I don't even know.
This is a whole different subject.
Yeah, that's really a whole thing. I don't even want to get into it, but I remember. So there, like you were talking about how you're doing. Well, there is a system, a science almost to being good at fantasy sports. Yeah, there is a strategy to it, and there absolutely is. Like, there is like proof that is a real thing. Okay, so cool. Certainly you have that.
Good to justify myself.
Yeah, like, so even if you're not writing it down and you don't have a notebook full of madness, you certainly in your head somehow you're putting pieces together and you are doing well with it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've only competed for money once, like, and not like in like on the online space, but like in friends.
Yeah.
That went to hell. Anyways, What else do we got to talk about Rio here?
Well,
do we want to talk about more problems before we talk about possible solutions?
Yeah, so I want to... one of the problems... one of the many problems... Another set of problems that I think... Like the Olympics, it's kind of sports in general has, but it's just exacerbated with the Olympics because it's so big and it's like there's so many, like there's so much riding on it because you got the national pride and you have this global force and just like all these people coming to this place. Is all of the like just problems with sports in general. So like doping, like clash of personalities, clash of. Oh my god, what am I looking like? Culture clash. Like you have all these things coming together, and you just it's such a huge problem because like so there was Russia. There was like a whole doping program in Russia.
Oh man, it was bad. So they were gonna ban. Rio wanted to ban all of the Russian athletes. They were just like they all have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict of interest. Like they're all involved somehow.
Yeah, right. Like because if everybody's in on it. Or like, if even half the people are in on it, then everybody's in. Like everybody knows about it. It's likely
that everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
So they wanted to ban all Russian athletes. They didn't. They ended up only banning 68 of them. Mm-hmm. Only 68 athletes. So that's maybe why Russia doesn't have as many medals like we were talking about earlier this year.
But yeah, like
it's bad. It's bad. What is this? You mentioned something about boxers and like a sexual assault?
Yeah, so this was so we were going to talk about Rio last week. For anybody that listened to that part, the end of the podcast last week, we almost went into that, but it was a really long topic. Yeah, when I looked stuff up about it, like right at the beginning of the Olympics, there were 2 boxers from like different countries that were charged with sexual assault on whoever they were assaulting.
Okay.
So these people went to the Olympics and immediately got in trouble with the police, and now they can't compete. Like,
so they showed up to the Olympics like they were supposed to.
Yeah, and then while they were there in this foreign country, they allegedly sexually assaulted people, and now they're sitting in like holding cells instead of competing, and like, so I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's not ridiculous, and it's not. I'm sad to say it's not surprising, but it just sucks. Like all these people so much, like so there were people like from this country that were just totally riding on. They're like, oh, this guy's gonna go there and do really well, and now he's just in jail.
He's just in jail.
Like it's awful, and like it's it's like a horrible news state. Like, and it sucks so much, and like the Olympic. I mean, not that wouldn't have happened, like, if we didn't have the Olympics, but certainly now it's happening in a foreign country, and now they're in trouble there, and, like, they just dashed a whole nation's, like, everybody that cared about them getting there, like, and, I mean, that's a really crappy example, but, like, what if somebody goes from your country to compete in something and ends up getting 4th place? Like, what does that do to people? Like, oh, like, you get so much...
It's
so
a
many
morale
people...
breaker. I mean, and it happened a couple times already, this Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I believe mainly in swimming.
Okay.
Where people they didn't perform like they were supposed to perform.
Right, like you get like 3 years of somebody doing amazing, and you're like, oh my god, they're going to do so well. And then you
look at them, and you look at them after the race or whatever, and they're so dejected, and it's like...
Oh, they're just crushed.
What kind of fucking depression does this set in? Like, that's a whole separate thing, is like the psychology part of this, like... That's its own whole thing. That's just in general competition.
Oh yeah, but on this scale though, because now the whole world's watching.
The scale is very grandiose, to say the least. So yeah, when they're dejected, they're giving that interview after that losing race, they know it's not just 300 million people in the U.S. watching. It's billions of people watching.
3 billion people around the world just saw that, are going to be made aware of that, and then like. When they go home, like, what do they go home to? Like, I don't know, because I don't really hear... Like, we always hear, like, the winners go home and, like, yeah, everything's great.
Even losers still go home to, like, an amount of pride.
It's like, I hope people are, like...
They do the right thing, at least in America, from what I've seen. Even when people don't perform as well. You see this a lot in gymnastics, because there's only so many, there's only, like, 6 events, I think.
Right, and it's such a fickle, like, you have judges, it's not a... there's no absolute winner.
There's no, not at all. There's not an absolute, like, this is a race, and I touched the wall first, I won.
Mm-hmm.
no, this is like, you kind of got to bank your money off the judges, and this is why, like, with gymnastics, like, what I noticed this year big time, and I really focused on where I never used to, is that, like, they had predicted winners, like, so well. Not just, like, what you were talking about, where it's like, yeah, they're expected to do really well.
Or whatever.
They're like, if Simone Biles does not win this event, this event, like, it's gonna be something crazy has to happen. Like, she has to Carrie Strug herself. You know, like, what did she do? Like, break an ankle doing the vault or something? Whatever. She Carrie Strug herself. And, anyways, so yeah, like, it's crazy. Like, they're like, if Simone Biles doesn't perform, and then they have these cameras on these, and they're kids, man. They're generally around the 16 age.
Especially in gymnastics, yeah.
Especially in gymnastics. And they have the cameras right in their face, and they're crying with their coaches, and it's like, it's super devastatingly sad to watch, but then they still have, like, their national pride, and they want their teammates to do well. That's one thing where I think they do positive things.
I was going to say, it's like a really positive, like, community and
like,
people banding, like, whether or not you
really
win, it's like, we're here, like, we're at the top. Even if you don't win, the fact that you made it to the Olympics means you are good at what you do.
Yeah, I mean, to say the very least. Whether you're anticipated to win this or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, if you made it to the Olympics, if you're an Olympian, like, you don't need to win a medal to call yourself an Olympian.
No, yeah,
like, that's something that
win.
In history we've created. Like, that's a big, meaningful thing.
Yeah.
So congrats to everyone doing it.
Yeah, seriously.
But fuck the corruption. Like, this is, and so we can talk about solutions, but no matter what solutions we come to, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of the corruption.
Well, that's inherent to every large system. I mean, it's just things are going to break. I mean, it's just
still worth mentioning. I mean,
but you can certainly build something that curtails it.
So, do you have any ideas? Give me some ideas for solutions to our issues with the Olympics.
So, well, you brought up one right before the show, and now it's such a better one
than what you had.
What I had.
So what I brought up was everything kind of originated in Greece, as we know.
It didn't get that. That is where, like, the Olympics came from Greece. It was the
Olympia.
It was Olympia, and then for 1,000 years, apparently the games happened.
Yeah, we looked that number up. That was a crazy number to see.
700 something BC to 300 AD. Like.
So my idea was, let's just do the Olympics in Greece every frickin' time. So we don't have to build all these infrastructures. They're already inherently built. Yeah. And you only have to maintain them every couple of years. It makes so much more sense than the IOC running around and going, who wants to place a bid for these Olympics? And we saw that, like, the 22 Olympics, like, no one wanted to be involved, and China was like, I guess we'll do it.
We'll do the Winter Olympics. And it ends up in Beijing.
Yeah, the Beijing Winter Olympics. Get ready for that, folks. Like, yeah, it's just ridiculous. So
there's a picture of the mountain that the ski slopes are going to be on, and it's just
it's brown.
It's like a desert, arid mountain.
Yeah, really, is that like a dune?
Snow.
Like,
yeah,
like we know they can. We've seen it before where they can create snow, whatever they need to do.
But that's not. It's the Olympics. I don't want them to make snow. I want there to be snow, good
where
snow.
I mean, but it still turns out a lot of the times in the Winter Olympics they actually still have to create snow because it didn't snow enough because of global warming. And,
but creating snow in an environment that can still support it versus creating snow in, like, a 70-degree desert is like...
It doesn't make sense. And we talked about, like, after, like, an hour, it's just going to be, like, treacherous.
Right, like, the people in the morning are going to have and after that it's just going to be this horrible, like, melty ice nightmare. Oh, man, that's going to be rough. But
I can't wait to see how that fails. But, yeah, I mean, my idea was, let's keep it in Greece.
So, or even if it's not Greece, just like
but
pick
that's
a place.
Just like that's more like the reason
easy.
For that was
it's super easy to just say like
and this is kind of a cool thing. It would be cool to see them like really rebuild up like all the old Olympic structures that we know and have like a modern touch to them and something like that. I think that would be really cool.
Or and just so again I think that's great if it was just Greece, but like even if it was just anywhere. Because you could totally, like, hey, this is, as long as it's just a single place where they always know what they're dealing with, right? There's never, the company, like, this country, this city has to spend $5-6 billion, $3 billion, like, whatever it is, and have cost overruns. It's like, nope, here's the place. We just go to the place, and if you do all the Summer Olympics in one place and you have like a Winter Olympics place and they're always done there, then you always know, like, oh, okay, we just have to go in. We've got 4 years to just renovate this place, make sure it's in shape. We know, and everybody's contributing, and it doesn't go country to country, and you just know where it's at, and it's travel, security, like everything's planned out. Like that's such a better idea. Like I get the whole, oh, it's all inclusive, and we go around the world, and everybody gets the games and their thing, and it just.
When you bottom line it, does that really fucking matter?
It really doesn't.
If you're going to the Olympics, you're going to the Olympics. Do you really care where it is?
So this is, I would say, pre-internet. Okay. I would say it did kind of matter because then it was like people weren't TV watching as much. Like they were, but it wasn't. We weren't such a spectator culture via TV and internet.
Right.
And now that we have that. Like a camera in a stadium, it doesn't matter where that stadium is. You're just going to see the people doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee more people are watching from home than are at the actual games. Like, I mean, I don't even think that I don't have to argue that.
There's
yeah, and so and they can renovate the place every time, but it's like, it doesn't need to bounce around all over the globe and be this thing. Like, we are engaged with the Olympics whether or not they're in our country. Everybody's engaged with it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to bounce around anymore. Let's make a thing that's actually, like, much more cost effective, and there's a baseline guarantee of things being in order and things being, like, to a degree of, like integrity and the structures and the just everything. Like it would be so much better to just have a single concentrated place.
And then they could add little touches as they went along.
Let's say renovate
the stadium for this. It'd be great, man. I don't see why we don't do it. I mean, I do. Yeah. I do see why we don't do it. Just, I mean, it's the money.
At this point, it's kind of hitting critical mass. Like this system has reached a point where it's not tenable anymore, or it is, but it's like the cost of maintaining it is so great that it's sooner or later it's going to hit a point where it just isn't, we can't do it anymore.
I think, we're going to see the backlash of what happens with all the Rio stuff, and it's going to be horrible. I think it'll be crime-ridden, a bunch of stuff. Like, it's already crime-ridden right now. I mean, Brazil is one of the highest crime rate countries in the world already. It's beautiful.
Income inequality is a huge thing.
Income equality was I had the numbers for that. It's really bad.
It's rough.
It's rough. So there is something that as far as like how the country works.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the favelas and everything and crime, there's a beautiful movie called City of God.
I've heard of this. I've heard it's very great.
Oh, it's in my top 3 films of all time. It's absolutely beautiful and amazing and really gut-wrenching at the same time. But it really shines light on Brazil and the highlights and the lowlights of it. And they just nail it perfectly. So I definitely recommend people check that out. As far as any other solutions, do you have anything in mind that you can think of?
So my original solution, which I'm glad we started with yours, was to break up the Olympics instead of having it all be in just one place that just crushed some single city every 4 years or every 2 years, counting the Winter Olympics as well.
Right.
Would be to have okay, there's 10 cities around the world that are going to have, each city will have a certain set of events, like all the swimming events will be here and all the track and field will be here.
Right.
And that way, a city only has to accommodate some portion of the athletes and only has to accommodate one major building, maybe 2, depending. I don't know how they would break it up. And I ended up, when you said your single thing, the single centralized place, I was like, oh yeah, that actually works better because it loses that idea of breaking it up that way that I had. It loses the everybody going to one place and everybody you can't have the gymnasts and the track and field people can't go cheer for each other if they're separated.
No, which you do see in the Olympics. I mean, they showed the men's basketball team from the USA in the crowd and during swimming, and it was just hey, that's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it's too powerful to have everybody. It's such a better experience, both I assume for the people there. And hopefully. For the people watching, I mean, it seems like a pretty positive to have everybody in all that place. So I don't think breaking it up, it's not a good idea.
It was a thought. Retrospect.
It was a thought. I mean, it's something I'd like to see something like that. If maybe it wasn't the Olympics, I'd love to see just some kind of global something that involves the globe and then like it's just kind of decentralized like that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, it would work too.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're not here to solve the world's problems by any means, but
no.
There's obviously some ideas. There's so many issues going on with. I mean, look up on the internet, man. Just look up like old Olympic structures or something, and you'll see just how horrible. Like
some places manage to repurpose some things.
Yeah.
Some places I actually played hockey in the Salt Lake's Olympic Stadium. Like,
really?
I played, like it's just a rink. Like they just use that now.
Yeah, exactly. And like repurposed for hockey.
Yeah, and I've played there. It was a cool rink, but it's just, I mean, like you can't do anything else with it than play hockey there.
No.
So, but yeah, I mean, like because the horror story is specifically Sarajevo, which we talked about earlier. I mean, it's just complete ruins, disarray. Like it didn't get repurposed at all. So it's just this. Hey, we made this thing, and now it's just falling apart, and
we're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, it was this really expensive thing that just served a purpose for a month and a half, and then it was just gone. So, So there's certainly there are a lot of problems with the Olympics, and like I said, not that long ago, we just need we have to do something about the system. It's just not going to be maintainable.
Yeah,
like, I think people are kind of figuring that out. I think a lot of people
I wasn't thinking about this really 4 years ago.
Yeah, no, yeah, like Sochi. Because I didn't fall Sochi, and I was like, I mean, it sounds really expensive. I don't know why they're just lumping this
$29 billion.
Yeah, right.
It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like that number's going to keep going up, and it's not going to work in the long run. So I think somebody has to figure this.
You think their hands are going to be forced, basically?
Well, at a certain point, it's just going to be. It's not possible. Like nobody's going to be able to afford this, and they're going to have to ask for money that nobody's going to want to pay. Nobody's going to like. Where do you get, like, sooner or later they're going to be like, well, it's $50 billion this year. Like, who's going to pay for that? Like, at a certain point, like, all the countries are going to be like, we'll give you, like, 10. Like,
yeah. Like, we'll give you a little bit.
Right? Like, we have financial problems. Like,
you want to build a pool? We'll give you money for a pool. Like,
you're right.
Yeah, I see. I mean...
It's too big.
Yeah, it's too big. Let's move on.
So there was enough of that, and we're going to totally right angle now.
We always do.
Like we always do, and go into something, I don't know, it's not even a callback, kind of.
Yeah,
was it the first episode that we talked about? Second episode?
Second
episode. Okay, so episodes ago, we talked about a show called Black Mirror, which we hadn't heard of, like we previously hadn't heard of, and then somebody told Chris about it.
My therapist told me about it.
told you about it. And you watched one, and we're like, you gotta watch the show. And I was like, all right. And then I went and watched it, and we both watched it. 7 episodes again for everybody. It's 7 episodes. It's not huge.
It's not this huge undertaking. A lot like Stranger Things, which we're going to talk about soon, because I'm going to make you watch that shit. It's so good. It's only 8 episodes, and it's all-inclusive, and it's just amazing. So Black Mirror is only 7 episodes, and... honestly, like, we're gonna get into spoiler territory here.
Yeah, so this is the spoiler warning. The rest of the show is just gonna be spoilers.
We're gonna talk about what we liked about each episode.
Yeah, we're gonna go into, because there's so much to unpack and just like talk about. There's such a good job of being relevant. Like they're really relevant. I think
super relevant.
Which
is gonna make for fun talk.
It's fantastic. Really so, anyways, spoilers are incoming. If you think you're gonna watch it, or if you just for some reason you're worried about spoilers, see you next week.
I love that. That's kind of it.
All right, friend. So now for anybody that stayed, Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, and so I finished the show finally.
Yeah, so I finished it.
You ended up finishing it like before me because I kind of like I have such ADHD. It's just with TV. Like I'm just like I'll watch 3 episodes and what's this? Like and then I'm like
right. Well,
I was watching Teen Titans Go. You gave it to me and then I was like yeah, and then like somehow like Gravity Falls like that. The idea of that show came up.
Somebody brought that up, or no? Because you were thinking Rick and Morty, and then there's a tie-in with Gravity Falls. Yeah.
So, also, that came up in my head. Next thing you know, I'm watching Gravity Falls. Like, I'm like, this is great.
Which is also great. Like, go out and see that.
Yeah. So, we might talk about that later. We'll see. So, Black Mirror it's an English show, if you missed our second episode. And it's each episode is its own.
Yeah, so it's an anthology show, which means each episode is self-contained. So, like, think Twilight Zone or Outer Limits. It's just like those where
Tales
it's like
from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. Well, I never watched Tales from the Crypt, so I don't know.
Really, I grew up. My parents watched. My mom's a huge horror buff.
Okay, it was always like on like super late, and I would just. I don't know.
I don't remember. I remember watching it as a kid.
For me, when it was on super late, and then like my parents were usually around, and were like, "No, why don't you watch this?" And I was like, "Whatever." so I just never watched it. But yeah,
you grew up. You weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up, right?
For a while, and then that just kind of went away.
Oh yeah, because they realized what it really was.
And I think I hit like 12, and they were just like, "Nah, screw it." And then like,
that makes sense.
But yeah, so Black Mirror anthology.
We talked about the first episode already, and
yes, we'll skip over that one.
Yeah, we talked about that in our second cast, and we're gonna go right into an episode called 15 Million Merits.
Yeah, episode 2.
This is definitely in my top 3 of all the episodes.
It's a pretty good one.
Do you want to go about how it starts?
Oh, crap, I don't remember exactly how it starts.
It starts with him just riding a bike.
Yeah, so it starts out. There's a guy, and he's just riding. Like his name is Bing, and he's riding a future exercise bike.
Yeah,
just.
And he's in line. There's a bunch of people.
Then it kind of like pulls out, and you see it's like there's a bunch of people just riding these bikes, and they have a screen in front of them, and it's made obvious really quickly that they are not. This is not like a health club.
No, it's made obvious quickly that they are earning literally merits.
Yeah, they call it. Oh wait, no. So it doesn't. I forgot. It doesn't start with him there. It started with him in his room.
Oh, okay.
So we have to go back. So it starts out with him in his room. He lives in a room that has a bed and absolutely nothing else, and all the walls are covered in screens.
They are screens.
Yeah,
and isn't it him flipping channels? Like,
well, no. So he wakes up. There's a rooster, right?
I don't remember that.
So like a rooster, like burka burka, like it goes from like just blank screens, and then the rooster goes, and then he waves his hand, and it knocks the rooster off its like digital perch, and like that's how
cool.
I was like, oh, like when it started out, I was like, oh, that's like a really like goofy future alarm clock. I like this. It's kind of fun. Like it started out kind of fun and had this animated thing, and then you like really quickly like this. There's some really dark shit happening here. Yeah. Because he leaves his room and he goes to this place that is not a health club.
No, he just walks in, he's wearing sweatpants. They're all wearing the same thing. The colors are very grayscale.
Yeah, it's like, so the bikes are real shiny, and the floors are like kept like pristine, and everything's like in good order and well kept, but it's like that real, it's not drab, but just like clinical. Like really.
Very clinical, surgical.
Yeah, very clinical, just clean, and just like uncomfortable. Like, this sucks. Like,
so yeah, he starts riding a bike, and he has essentially another screen in front of him. This is really screen based. So
yeah, everybody's got screens. Yeah.
So you find out later that they actually have avatars as well.
Yeah, they totally have like Xbox Live, or does PlayStation have? Yeah, like the Wii.
PlayStation,
the Wii.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. What are they? On Nintendo's thing, or the Wii...
The Wii... Oh, the Mii's.
The Mii's, yeah. So, like, they have their own personalized avatar. And...
Yeah, and they can use their merits that they get from... You earn merits for riding the bike.
Yeah, so merits are effectively currency. They are...
Effectively,
They are money as far as...
But they kind of... They use them willy-nilly if you watch certain characters.
Yeah,
like,
they use them
so one character will use it to buy, like, a hat for his avatar. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
and he's kind of saving them up as far as you can tell at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot.
He has 15 million plus. He has like 16 million, I think.
No. So at the beginning, he has just over 15.
Yeah, and he ends up, before we get to the story point, he ends up at 16, and we'll get to that.
No, I thought he ended up at 15 because then he he never got to 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember.
I remember why though, and I can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it has to do with the show. Okay, so they have this thing where they can, while they're riding their bikes, to entertain themselves. They can go through different channels. They can play games. There's one where there's like literally like a first-person shooter.
Yeah, there's a first. So there's people in yellow suits, like these yellow, like McDonald's looking really crappy like outfits, and they come around and they clean things up, they pick up trash and they keep everything clean. And the first person shooter is you shooting those people.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I didn't connect that.
So all the enemies in the first person shooter are the people that are cleaning up the area that they ride their bikes in. So it's like
that makes it so much darker.
Yeah, right? Like, so it's like on a really creepy basic level, it's like teaching the people that play that game to like hate or to like actively despise the people that clean up after them. Like, that's crazy. Yeah,
it's
like
crazy. There's one where it's effectively like a porn station.
Yeah, and so so there's only like a couple of channels that they
it looks
really
like there's
show.
about like they only show about 4 or 5.
They show right at the end. There's like somebody's flipping through channels and there's like a bunch of them, but we're only ever like privy to a couple.
Yeah, the one he seems to prefer is like to shut his brain off. Like, it's just a little his avatar on a bike going up a road, and you can choose between like a city or a country road, and it's all animated,
nice little cartoon place that he just
graphics and everything. It's so interesting. Like,
it's such a good, like, believable, like, evolution of the world we live in, right?
Right.
Where it's like the screens keep people entertained, and it's like, oh no, we need the bikes. It's insinuated that the bikes generate electricity for something.
It's insinuated that they provide energy, but they could do nothing.
Yeah, nobody knows.
In an Outer Limits fashion, they could do nothing at all.
It could just be people in a bunker somewhere, just like and making lightning happen for no reason.
Right.
Yeah, like...
So a girl comes along.
Oh yeah. So
this is kind of what derails Bing. So Bing is he seems to be very much so like, I have to do this. This is what I do, and then I finish it. But you can tell he doesn't really like it the whole time. He's just kind of like, ugh. He gets annoyed by the guy next to him.
Yeah, his neighbor's awful.
He is obnoxious.
He's the first-person shooter guy who's just awful.
And he was really into porn, too.
Yeah, he was watching, like, the porn.
He was watching porn with everyone else. Like, so you had the option, you could tell, like, when they went back to their rooms, they could go through the same channels.
Yeah.
And that's that's literally how they had to entertain themselves. They even go so far, it's so fucked up that if you shut your eyes because you don't like something, like alarms start going off and shit.
Yeah, you have to watch.
You have to watch
like, it just
something.
Made this horrible sound, and it paused whatever you were looking at until you went back to watching it.
It was terrifying when I saw that part. I was like, oh my god. Like,
but you and I had that reaction, just like, oh my god, that's like the worst possible entertainment future, and I guarantee somebody out there saw that and was just like, it's a really good idea. Like, like it's... Because you see it, and it's just horrifying. Like, it's just believable enough, though, to see that, like, somebody would think, like, oh, no, we'll make it. No, the content is free, but if you close your eyes, it screams at you until you start watching it again. And, like...
Yeah.
And the only way you could skip, like, commercials or certain things happening on channels was you had to spend money.
You spend your currency.
Yeah, it was like $10,000 to, like, skip a commercial. And, like...
Wow, interesting.
It was...
So he meets a girl, and I don't remember her name at all. We didn't write, like, extensive notes. We just want to chat about each episode a bit.
Yeah.
So he meets a girl, and he finds out that she's a good singer.
And he really likes her. He's got, like, the crush on her.
He totally has his crush going on. He's really in deep quickly.
Really quickly, yeah. So, like, a lot of these episodes happen pretty breakneck speed.
Yeah, and
this one handles it pretty decently.
They're all around, like, the 45-minute mark, the basic hour-long TV show, but you have this whole inclusive story in one.
Yeah, because...
That's what's so great about it. I love the anthology style. It's amazing.
When it works well.
Yeah, he meets this girl, and he realizes that she can sing really well, and she's new, seemingly...
Yeah, like, she just moved into the block or whatever.
To that dorm area that they have or whatever. It's... Oh.
And so he...
It bothers me. Like, I'm like, ugh.
So, what, that world that they live in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, ugh.
It's not appealing. They do a really good job of, like, making it believable, and, like, people are so engrossed in shit.
Future, like, dystopia that they're, like, okay with.
Well, it's like, it's not necessarily that they're okay with, but it's like, they're so distracted. Like, they show a lot of people, like... They show a lot of people who are really engaged with, like, or not engaged with, but are just, like, completely drowning in, like, their avatar stuff, because they show there's, like, the like, a redheaded guy.
The redheaded guy is really into his avatar and all that.
He's really worried about it, and, like...
He's asking around about it, like, what do you think of this? And they're like, we don't care.
Really, who cares?
He's like, why the fuck, what? Why
right.
not?
And then Bing's annoying neighbor is, like, really into, like, the porn, and he's into all of the, I don't know what you call it, the kind of not degrading, but kind of like the seedier side.
Yeah,
thing. Like he's really into like he's got watching the porn and
weird
he's watching
porn
the first person shooter where he's killing the people that clean up after him and like there's a so like a lot of people are just like
so he here
but anyways
let's
so
move forward because we got to go through a couple episodes here. So here's a girl singing and he really enjoys her voice. He already likes her a lot. I mean, she is a really pretty girl. They did great casting.
Mm-hmm.
She can act her ass off.
Yeah, everybody in this does a pretty good job with the acting in this episode.
Yeah, the directing and the acting in this episode was solid as hell.
She can sing.
And she can sing, and they have... So one of the channels that we haven't talked about yet is they have what is basically like the X Factor or like America's Got Talent, Britain's Got
American
Talent.
Idol, that's what I was looking for.
American Idol-ish. Yeah, definitely.
It's the talent show with like the judges, and I mean, it's just... Everybody's seen them at this point.
It's an overall talent show, and... So he decides to pay for her entry ticket.
Yeah, so
you can gift stuff, which is cool. Like
you can gift merits or avatar
just like you
stuff,
can on Xbox Live. This is how this all like really relates.
Mm-hmm.
You can gift stuff to people. You can do it on Steam, whatever. So he decides to spend they talk about it. So they talk about it being 14 million credits for a ticket.
12.
12?
I remember all this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's...
Oh, I thought it only went up one, anyways.
Yeah, so he remembers that or his brother died.
Yeah.
And so he and his brother had saved up a ton of credits, and so Bing has just rolled over the 15 million mark.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, cool! I got 15 million. I can cover you. Like, I can cover you this ticket because they're only 12
he's
million."
telling her. He's like so infatuated with her. He's like, "I got you." He's like, and she's like really hesitant about the episode, like about doing it, like about going into the talent show. Go on.
But then, he convinces her, and then he goes. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna get this ticket for her. I'm gonna do it." And he's like, "I'm gonna get it." And she's like, "Oh, okay." Like he convinces her, and she's like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then he looks, and it's actually the price for the tickets has gone up to 15 million.
Yeah.
And that's when he's like, oh, he's got like 15 million, like 4,000 or something. Like he just rolled over 15 million.
Over 15.
And he's like, well, screw it, because he's looking, because he explains it to her like everything's fake. Like the stuff they watch on the TVs is fake, and they're doing this thing, and they have this job where they ride these bikes, and it's just everything's fake. Like everything is fake, and he wants something real, and she's real. She can sing, and even if she fails, like they did something amazing. So he gets her this ticket. He's just like, screw it, I'm 15 million. He gets her the ticket, and he gets her the ticket, sends it over to her. They're both happy. And then, I'm pretty sure after that it cuts to them going to the thing, right?
So they enter this area it's filled with people just singing and doing whatever their talent.
Yeah, it's like the warm-up area.
Yeah,
the green room
really
almost.
Obnoxious. There's one girl that's really bugging like the people that run it to like, when's my shot? When am I going to get on there?
Yeah, so which sets the stage, like, immediately, like, the people, they spent $1 bazillion merits on this, like, entry fee, and they get there, and there's no guarantee, there's no schedule, they just pick people when they feel like whatever program director's in charge of things just picks who goes. And this one girl, she's like, I've been coming here every day for a month, and nobody, like, I haven't got my shot yet.
Yeah.
And
so you get your ticket and you just go there every day. That's what you do.
Yeah, until they
select you to go on the show. She rolls in there, and
Bing's friend rolls in there.
Yeah, and there's a reason that they pick her out. I think it's because she's
the pretty one. Yeah. So like there's a guy, like some employee on his thing, and he's
pretty
like,
one over the mic.
He needs somebody pretty. Oh, pretty one. Okay, yeah. And he just like
he grabs her, and so this is one of my favorite parts of the entire episode. She's in that little backstage part right before she goes live.
Yeah.
And a girl walks up to her with a drink.
Yeah.
And she's like, drink this, it'll make you feel better. Like, it'll make you, the nerves will go away, yada yada. And she's like, okay. And so she's kind of forced to drink it.
And the lady sells it. She's like, it's only available here. It's like this is an honor.
Yeah, you're never gonna get this anywhere else. This is where you get it. And she's like, okay, yeah. She's convinced into drinking it. And you look at the bottle, and it's called Compliance.
It's called Compliance? Like, there's no...
No, it's called Compliance.
Is it Compliance? Are you looking at it?
Okay. I looked it up, yeah.
Okay, I can remember, but I was like, Compliance? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, so there's that.
And she drinks it, and she gives the bottle, because they're like, oh, you gotta go
Bing is with her.
Yeah, Bing is with her at this point, because he's her friend, and they're just like, okay, you can stand here backstage.
She low-key hands him the bottle.
Yeah, she kind of hands it to him. No, she, did she fold it?
Yeah, she crumples it up.
No, she
or
just
whatever.
crumpled it because she gave him some other things she folded. But yeah. So she crumples up she just kind of folds up the bottle and she hands it to Bing and he's like, oh, okay, cool. And he's just got the whatever.
He just has it, yeah.
And she goes out and she sings and everybody's loving it. Like,
They show all the avatars from the people in their rooms. They're the audience because they show the redheaded dude in his character. And so they show that
a couple other people.
The actions that they physically have in their rooms completely separate.
Yeah.
Which is this weird, crazy, paradoxical thing.
There's not a real audience. It's just a
it's
projected
another
audience.
Screen. The judges are real.
The judges are real. The only real people.
Yeah. The only other real people really... There's not many real people that you see besides the people. Or the people that do the bites. Anyways. Yeah. So she performs really well. And they love it. What happens?
So, she performs really well, and the audience is loving it. Everybody's like, oh, wow, this lady's really great. And then one of the judges stops her, and the guy's like, it's the Simon Cowell, like, crappy, jerky judge, and he's like, that was by far the, like, most amazing thing. Like, he totally draws it out, and you're like, oh, he's going to hate it, and he's like, oh, I love it. But then he says at the end, like, his little spiel, he's like, I love it, I love it, I love it. But it's not enough. We have a shitload of singers. Like, nobody needs singers, right?
Yeah, we need more depth to your talent, basically.
He's like, we just have a lot of singers. Like, it's not enough. And then one of the other the other judge is the owner and operator of the porn channel.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, you're pretty and you sing and you're here and I can offer you a job in porn and you won't ever have to ride a bike again.
You won't have to ride a bike again. We can give you drugs.
Yeah, we have drugs.
We can give you drugs to where you'll enjoy it. It'll make you euphoric.
You'll never feel depressed or you'll never feel like sad or like self-loathing about going to this. You'll have the nicest things.
And they really convince her. Like, they really have to push hard, but they end up, because she's really about the whole thing,
So they push her kind of hard, and she thinks about it, but then because she drank the compliance, which is what is kind of like, I mean...
That's kind of the idea behind
at least
it,
maybe it's not going to make her just completely like, well, yeah, but she's very susceptible, is what it's implied.
Right.
And so she's kind of sitting there, and she's like, well, I guess so, and she takes him up on it.
And that starts the downfall of the episode.
So the downfall?
I mean, you
don't like it after that?
No, I like it. No. The downfall of like the storyline.
Okay, yeah. So definitely, we've totally been riding high. It's been really positive up until this point.
For the most part, I mean, we say you were in this fucked up world this whole time. The whole show is dark as shit. People, don't get us wrong. Like,
it gets worse and worse.
This is why we love it, though. It's weird. We love dark shit. Anyways,
so she says yes, and
she goes off to do that.
She's gone. And Bing doesn't take that well.
No, he's instantly depressed. He finds out that he's not going to see her ever again.
Yeah.
And then he's flipping through channels.
He's flipping through channels and he comes to the porn channel and I don't even know, because if he could just flip through channels, he wouldn't have to watch. No, like the channels are just chosen for you in your room, I guess.
They do this motion with their hands.
Oh, so
when they're sitting down.
But there's a commercial for her.
Yes, there's a commercial. Yep.
And the thing is, he's like, skip it. No, next thing, whatever. And it's like, that's 10 grand.
He doesn't have enough money.
Yeah.
And he closes his eyes. That's when the alarms go off.
And then it starts screaming at him. And he's like, so he can't not watch. He can't skip because he's only got like $2,000 in credits. And so he just loses it and he starts banging on his screen. And a shard of glass breaks out of the screen.
Yeah.
And he's just like sitting there and he's just like crying and just like losing everything. And he sees this big ass shard of glass, which he then picks up.
Yeah, and this is where you're like, oh, don't.
Like, I thought it was just going to kill himself. I thought that was the end of the episode. I didn't know how much time was left. And I was like, well, this is going somewhere. And he takes it, and then you see him go back to his life.
Yeah, he's riding the bikes.
You see him riding the bikes, but he's riding the bikes like crazy. Like,
he's riding it super fast. The faster you ride the bikes, the more merits
you get. So
this makes sense.
He's riding it as fast as he can. He's eating people's leftovers at lunch. He is saving
he's not buying
his money.
Lunch. Yeah, he's just randomly eating leftovers and stuff. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, so and he's like very obviously saving his money, and you can guess pretty quickly that he's saving it up for another ticket because you just see those numbers going up into the millions, and he's just saving up. So he gets his ticket.
Yep.
And he goes down like they show him, like kind of do a montagey thing of him, like he's got like a dance he's working on.
Oh yeah, he's like trying to, like, he's like, I have to come up with a talent to get in there. Yeah. And so he's kind of been, for a while now, working on this goofball dance, like,
like
a bunch of the Mr. Robot. Yeah. It was great. It added a little lighthearted note to what was going on. And he ends up going into that backstage area where they go to pick people. And you're like, man, he's not going to get picked because he doesn't have talent. Nothing. Well, they come over the mic and they're like, we need someone ethnic.
Yeah. We want someone ethnic. I couldn't remember.
And you still have the same girl from before. Like, why haven't I got my shot yet?
I've been here for like 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, she's bitching and she's whining. And you don't like her. Like, they make you not like her on purpose. Yeah. And they find someone ethnic, and they find Bing.
And Bing is just standing. I love this. He's just standing there, like dead-eyed. He's not warming up. He's just like, like I just did a thing which nobody can see. He's he's totally just dead-eyed, solemn, just standing there, not moving at all. Just like obviously, like he's prepping to do something ridiculous. And you know that, did you know that he's got the thing with him?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so at that point, you know he's got the shard of glass with him.
Yes.
So at this point, this is when I was thinking, like, he's going to stab the judges. Like, I figured that's where that was going.
So he goes back to the little mini backstage part where they're going to give him his compliance, and he pulls out the old compliance bottle that is empty. And he's like, someone already gave it to me. What are you talking about? And they're like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
like, they're really rushing it like an actual TV show. Like, if you've ever watched The X Factor or any of these shows, like, they really, when they're rushing people around, like, okay, you're on.
We got to do something.
That's how they run the show. So he pulls out this empty compliance thing, and he's like, I've already had mine.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, shit, what's going to happen?
So you know that he is in his right mind. You know he's in control of everything he does when he goes out there.
Yep.
And he goes out, and he does his dance, and it's like, and people kind of start out, like, laughing at him, but then they start getting into it, because he's just, like, he's got so much energy, he's pissed, and he's like, and he's going nuts, and everybody's just like, oh, this is, like, ridiculous, but then they're on board with it. And then he stops the dance, and he pulls out the shard of glass, and he... Are you going to do the...
Yeah, I think... Do the judges start talking to him first?
They might... No, I think they might...
Yeah,
they
the
might
judges
stop
start talking to him, and they're like, this isn't anything, and he's like,
okay, this is something, kind of, but, like, they weren't... It's not enough.
They kind of are just like, sorry. And he pulls out the shard of glass up to his...
his throat. Yeah, he holds it to his throat.
Yeah.
And then so like security comes out and he's like, no, if they come close, I'm doing this, and it's on your hands. And they're like, okay, let this guy talk, right?
And he starts going off, and it's a super epic like
rant.
Yeah, like about like the whole, how everything's fucked up, how the system's all fucked up, how he's pissed about everything.
Yeah, just, he's angry and confused, and he doesn't know what, like, there's no direction, and he has no, like, nobody has connection to people, and they're all just drowning themselves in their TV screens, and it's just really, like...
He's telling you everything that's wrong with the episode, like, almost literally,
with the world of the episode.
With the world, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it works super well.
It's great. It's a wonderful...
And then all of a sudden the judges look at each other, and they're like, hey, wait, hold on here. And I think it's the Simon Cowley judge.
Yeah, it's definitely him.
And what he offers him...
He says, I've got a spot on my networks for you, half hour, twice a week, or once a week, or whatever it is.
Once a week, I think, yeah.
And he's like, fucking, I'll get you a show.
This is out of left field at this point in your mind when you're watching the show. Yeah, you're like, what the...
Yeah, like, you're just like,
you're expecting him to do this rant and then off himself.
He's going to kill somebody else. Like that's what I'm expecting.
I thought he was going to kill one of the judges, maybe, or just attack people so he would get in trouble and taken away. But no, he gets offered a job.
Yeah, the guy offers him a job. Speak your mind. Do your rant,
and you keep the shard of glass, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So when he does the show... Okay, so it moves on to the final...
So the thing about it is, he's got this... he's got the knife to his neck, and they offer him this job, and then there's just like... Oh, God. Like, it's obviously had not gone through Bing's head at all that this was, like, a thing. Like, this was not... He's like a proxy for us. It's as much not an option for him as it was for us. We're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And, like... And he just sits there, and he's like... And then it skips ahead in time. And he didn't have the compliance, so whatever he chose to do was his choice.
It was his option. And he ends up waking up in a room. This is what you see. And you notice it's a much bigger room.
Well, no, so this is, you see the red-headed guy is riding his bike, and he's flipping through channels, and he lands on Bing's show.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
And Bing's there, and he's got his fucking... The way he does the format of his show is he's now outraged, and he's yelling, and he's angry, and he's got the shard of glass to his throat. Like, that's his gimmick as part of his show.
Yep.
And this kid's watching it, and he's watching it and, like, agreeing with it, but also it's that, like, that agreement that's not ever going to lead to anything. He's sort of just like, yeah, this guy's cool. And then, next show, whatever, and he just moves on with his life. And then it goes to Bing in his room, and he's got the shard of glass, and he's like, well, see you next week. Stay angry or whatever his sign off was.
Yeah, he says something really odd, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and it's like, and then he just takes the glass away, puts it in a box.
In a really nice box. Yeah. And then you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? And they start showing the room, and he has this nice thing that pours orange juice for him. And you're like, oh, crap, he gets orange juice. Like,
it's still a clinical, shitty room.
But it's bigger.
It's a much bigger room.
About 3 times the size or so,
yeah.
I'd say. And he gets up, and does he turn the channel on the wall?
I think he just walks over to it, yeah.
He walks over to it, and it's this very, like an overview of, like, a rainforest.
No, it's a really big vista of, like, a forest and, like, some hills and shit.
And you see, like, birds flying by and stuff, and he's drinking his orange juice. End the episode.
Yeah, but it's obviously still screen, and that's the end of the episode.
He's still in this world, somehow still a slave. He doesn't have to ride bikes anymore.
He just changed bikes.
Yeah, and he changed bikes. That's one way to really put it. I mean, you end thinking, and you're just like, that's fucked up. Like,
yeah, like, it's horrible, and
they show. And so, mind you, there is a few more scenes of, like, people skipping through the channels and stuff, and I think he's watching it. I really want to say it's him.
Yeah, that it lands on the girl.
And he lands on the porn channel, and it's the girl, and she looks like shit.
She does not look like the drugs are working.
No, she looks completely unhappy. She looks just like garbage, and you feel crappy instantly. And you're like, oh, this is awkward. And he kind of is like, change the channel.
That's not
go
me,
into my new world. Like... And, like, because, he's guilty. Like, he...
Well, and we talked about this, and it was like, it's such a, like, the more I thought about it, I was like, fuck this, it's like such a good, like, message as far as, like, messages go, whatever. It's like, this world built a system where the only way out of the system was to be selfish and think about yourself, and to, like, it's the only way out is, and when you comply with the, like, whether or not you're complying with the system, whether or not you're coerced, the only way out is to think about yourself, and you get yourself out, and however you can, and, like,
yeah.
But all you get when you get out is just a bigger room. You're still stuck in the same system. The only, like, you never get away from it. Like, it's just a constant prison no matter what you do, and it's like such a, like...
They don't explain why. They don't explain who the leaders of this are. You don't get any explanation as to the outer realm of this thing, the whole scope of why it's there. And, like, that's a pretty long analysis for one episode.
Yeah, so sorry, we did like a scene for scene on that one.
Yeah.
Let's go way faster on these.
Yeah, so we'll finish it up.
Finish up what?
I mean, we'll not finish the podcast. Like, we'll finish going through Black Mirror here.
Okay, yeah.
The next episode is called The Entire History of You, and it's about a relationship. So one thing you need to remember is that the show is about technology and how it affects the world, essentially.
It's human interaction and our use and interaction with technology. Like, those are the...
Yep.
Those are the cornerstones. The cornerstones of the show. Yeah,
exactly. So The Entire History of You is an episode with just a guy, and I didn't really like him. Like, I liked his acting. He did a good job, but you don't like this character.
I was like, he just kind of sucks. Like, he's not.
He's just kind of a dick for no reason. Anyways, so he ends up at a party with his girlfriend.
So did they show the technology before did they get into that? No, they start. Okay, yeah. So he goes to a party. His wife is there.
Yep, it's like a dinner party. It's just a small gathering of like 10 people. It's not this like party thing.
No. It's a party that like 30-somethings have, where it's just a handful of
people our age.
Dinner.
Yeah, where we do nothing. Like, you want to play TV?
You talk about stuff. Yeah, like it's fucking.
You talk about stuff that doesn't matter and old relationships and.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there and he kind of notices that his wife is really, laughing at this other guy's jokes randomly.
Yeah. This guy that he's never met before, and it's some guy from her past. And
he's heard of him.
But he's always been this real distant character.
Super distant character. And he's really, she's really into his jokes, and he's kind of keeping an eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the party ends and they go to, he offers the guy to go have a nightcap at their house.
Yeah, and it's
It's odd.
So before that, they introduced the piece of technology before this.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
I don't know why I'm ignoring that.
The specific piece of technology in this is that everybody has a thing that they call a grain.
Yep.
And it's this thing the size of a grain of rice that they put in your head, like right behind your ear.
Right behind your ear, it's implanted.
And it records everything that you see and hear.
And you can control it. So you can rewind, not fast forward.
Well, no, you can fast forward if it happened in the past.
Right. But you know what I mean, like, you can rewind things, you can, like, zoom in, you can do all sorts of interesting stuff.
It's like full video suite. Like, you have all...
And
like,
so when people are using it physically on the outside, they kind of stop moving. Like, they just stop in their tracks, and you see their eyes kind of glaze over.
Yeah, it has, like, this real specific, like, they're, like, the cornea... Like, just their eyes get this, like, glow in them.
Yeah.
So you know they're using it.
You know they're using the technology, and that factors in a little later. And so, yeah, they go home, and he ends up, like, disinviting the guy, once he
gets home, and he's like, I don't really want this guy. Like, they have this conversation in the car, and he's like, I was just trying to be polite. I didn't want him to come, and, like, so they get rid of this guy, like, and they get to their house, and he's like, it's late, and we got the babysitter and all this shit. So they get rid of the guy, and he's like, whatever.
And they get home, and it's just, the episode is basically an argument.
Yeah, so
Most of the episode is them... He has a bad feeling about this guy, and they're arguing. Go on.
Well, so it's like this is where the technology thing comes in, and I think they did a fantastic job with this. He just pours over like every inch of his recordings, like the whole dinner part. He's watching everything his wife does. He's analyzing
it over and over.
Yeah, and he's just analyzing everything she's doing and saying.
He's drinking the whole time,
and he's
getting more
drinking,
upset.
And he's upset, and he's confronting, and just like. It's such a perfect look at how people would be with this technology, how people already are to an extent with just video recording technology.
Phones, like how you hear about like relationships where like the girlfriend grabbed the guy's phone and like they're going through their phone and they found a picture and they're like, fuck this, what do you they found out that they're cheating on them, and this is kind of what they're getting at in this episode.
Yeah, it's like he's just totally wrapped up in like analyzing every minute of what's going on and trying to figure it out. And I guess to his credit, he figures some shit out with it.
He does, yeah. He kind of notices her do something very specific. If I remember correctly.
I can't
remember what it is.
Yeah, no. He sees. So one of the things that they did is there was a handful of screens on the wall, and people just put their recordings up of their past experiences. And he's digging through these recordings of the whole dinner party night, and he sees one of these screens, and in the background, his wife is making out with the guy.
That's right.
Yeah, so he's watching his recording of the dinner party of somebody else's recording of a previous event.
Yeah, it's this crazy Inception-like thing that happens.
This multi-layer, but it's totally the sort of like insanity that people would...
They drive themselves to in relationships.
Yeah.
Like this is really more... Not just technology, but how if this technology was here and how it would like interfere or work with relationships.
Right, exactly, and it's totally like or how it would work in the kinds of relationships that turn into people being distrustful and really just like collapsing.
So basically, he ends up going to the guy's house. They get in a fight.
Yeah, they get in a fight. He's winning, and he's like choking the guy, and he's like, "Hey, delete everything you have of my wife in your memory and put it on the screen so I can see you deleting it."
That's right.
Yeah, and he's just in the moment. And then it fast forwards because the guy like passes out or whatever. He crashes his car.
Yeah, he crashes his car randomly.
Well, because he's
still
drunk
from the night before. Like it's just this continuous night.
And he ends up. Like, he reviews that footage, and he sees that his wife, some of the footage that the guy deleted was when his, was like 18 months prior to that moment in time, which is when his child was conceived. And so now he's questioning whether or not his child is his, or if it's this other guy.
Yeah.
Like,
doesn't he figure it out that it is the other guy's?
No, so what they get into is that the guy didn't wear a condom, but they never say whether or not it's his. And,
so there's insinuation.
Yeah, and he forces his wife to play her recorded sexual encounter
there's a point where they're in the bedroom and she tries to like get away from him real quick, or she's doing something and he realizes instantly that she's going through recordings and deleting shit.
She's trying to delete it, and
he grabs her or something.
Yeah, and he's like, no, you put it on the TV so I can watch it too. You're not deleting it.
Like, yeah, he freaks out.
And so they have this that horrifying moment where she just plays back this sexual encounter she had with a guy while she was on a break, and it's fun, and it's just it's as awkward and like shitty as it sounds. Like she's crying, and this guy's just like sitting there with like dead eyes watching it. Like it's exactly the horrible. Like this whole episode is fantastic about like the kinds of situations you would get into with this technology and how people like. It's such a good analysis of how people would use this technology.
Yeah,
and I say this because there's a scene earlier in the episode which was fantastic. It's like it's like the night after they get rid of the guy when he's like, oh, we have the kid in there, whatever. Then it cuts to them having sex. The couple having sex.
Oh, this is so hard to watch.
And it's they're having like, oh yeah, this
they're
really
having great sex, like really
right when you energetic, and
right when you get together with a girl and you're just like, yeah, and you have like the best sex ever. And then it shows both of them watching recordings, right? Their eyes are glowing, and they're laying sideways.
Yeah, like barely
in like this
moving.
limp position, barely moving, having sex. So they're having sex based purely on their memory.
Yeah, they're watching
of when their sex life was good.
Yeah.
And it's just, that shows you right there about how fucked up this technology really is.
Yeah, like horrible, like how people use it. It's fantastic though. It was such a perfect, like people would do that, just like the love is dead, and they're just like, and like perfect.
Going through the motions.
Perfect going through the motions with a video of yourselves not going through the motions.
The video, I mean, the episode essentially ends with her leaving him, right?
Oh yeah. So it ends with him in an empty house.
Yep.
Walking around, just like physically remembering her. Not even like, I don't even think he's like watching.
I think he is, actually.
I think he watched some. No, I think because he like walked in the kitchen. I think he just has the memories. It's not even him watching it anymore.
Okay.
And he's just like, this is bullshit. And then it ends with him tearing his fucking thing out of his head.
He rips out his implant, so he has no memories.
So he has no recorded memory. It's all just what he has in his head. Yeah. And like the one thing I want to complain about in that part.
That's because he knew he was driving. He drove himself crazy, and he ended up losing his.
Yeah, he drove himself crazy with this thing. Yeah, and like so he just tears it out, and that's how it ends, and that was cool. Right. And it was a great ending. The episode was great.
Great episode.
The one thing I just have to complain about is he's using a thing to pull this out of his head. He's using wire cutters and not pliers. I was like, what is he? He's going to cut it out of his head? Like, those are wire cutters. So I know it was just some prop person screwing it up, but it was maddening to me that it was like wire cutters. Like,
I think, they were just leaning on technology, maybe. Like wires. I don't know.
Because he grabbed and pulled it, whatever. Okay.
Good episode. None of them are bad. We have to preface that.
None of them are bad. There's just a couple that are weak.
And that, honestly, for me, was one of the weaker ones.
I would say, it was definitely like a midline one.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
They're in the middle somewhere. Next episode is Be Right Back. Of course, BRB.
BRB.
So, quickly get through this one. Girl has a boyfriend that she's in love with. I think, aren't they engaged? Maybe.
Yeah, they're engaged. They move into a house together. They're moving into a house together at the beginning of the episode. Like
they're having this great life. He ends up dying. I remember how he died. How did he die?
Car accident. Like he's taking the van that they were moving with back to the rental place, and so he dies. At his wake, this other lady says to the main character, like, "Oh, there's this thing that helps people get over it, and I can sign you up for it. It's in beta.
It's in beta."
But she says it's in beta because I love just that, like the British, they say beta, but he's in beta. I'll email you the link or whatever, and the lady's just like, "Oh my god, shut up," and freaks out.
Yeah, like fuck you, like I don't even bring that shit up to me, kind of.
Yeah, and then the other lady just signs her up for it because fuck her wishes.
Yeah,
and just signs her up for it. And it turns out that it's a system it analyzes everything that a person put on their social media, like publicly.
And it creates an artificial intelligence.
And it uses artificial intelligence to simulate this person's behavior.
Yeah.
So in a moment of like stress and weakness, this lady's just like, oh my god, she finds out she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my god, I need somebody to talk to, and she can't get hold of her friend, and then she like goes in this thing, and she's like, oh my god, are you real? And like, so she ends up starting this really
talking to him over like a voice,
cell
like
phone,
a VoIP voice over internet.
Yeah,
so talking online.
No, she
like
starts chatting with him with text, and then she gets the phone,
and then it goes to voice, and then
he's like,
she goes the distance with the technology that they've provided so far.
Yeah, he's the voice, like she has this really, it's kind of creepy. You're just like, this is kind of creepy. And then he's like, hey, there's a next level to this. And she's like, oh, what's that? It's kind of expensive. Well, okay, whatever. And it turns out the next level is an android that's
they sent to your house in a box.
They send to your house in a box that you have to put in your bathtub with like electrolytes and shit to grow skin and shit.
Oh, so weird.
But it ends up looking just like the guy, and it's got his behavioral stuff, and she gave it so it sounds like him, it looks like him, it moves like him. It seems like him.
It's terrifying. But she ends up finding out through extensive talking with him, obviously, and other things, like a weird, like, sexual interaction, I believe, that this isn't him.
It just
she really,
isn't.
she wants it to be him so bad, and he's not up to par.
Yeah, no matter how hard she wants it, he's just never gonna, like, she lost that guy, he died.
So she tries running him off. Kind of, and she like finds him the next day like 20 feet outside the house.
Because
he
like, can't
move. I told you to go away, and he's like, I can't go with
more than 25 feet away from my point of activation, which is the bathtub.
Which, and you're just like, what the fuck? And it starts getting weird, and you know it's gonna get more weird all of a sudden. And she ends up being nice to him for a minute, right?
Yeah, she ends up being nice to him, and then they go on a walk.
They go on a walk, and they end up at a cliff's edge.
Yeah.
And she essentially decides that she's going to kill him, right?
Yeah, so he said earlier that it was known, like, it was like a wives' tale that it was, like, couples jumped off there together.
Right, at that location, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're like, oh my god, are they going to jump off together? Is he going to, like, freaking out? And then she's like, you, jump off of here.
Because she can control him.
Yeah, she can tell him what to do. He's an android. He has to do what she tells him.
Yeah.
And she's like, jump off. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, he goes, well, okay. And then she's like, wait, she wants him to have an emotion.
Well, because she wants him to be the dead guy.
Yeah.
She wants so badly.
She's like, wait, really? What? Like, she's shocked that this robot is going to do what she told this robot to do.
Yeah, she's like, no, he'd fight back. He wouldn't do this. And then he starts, like, crying, like, fake crying, like, I don't want to die. And she's
he's like, she yells at him. He's like, he would have been crying. He would have been telling me these things. And he starts doing that stuff. He starts crying. And so all of a sudden she's like feeling bad for a moment.
But at the same time, she realizes that he's like just fake, and she's like angry and sad, and it's crazy. Like,
and what ends up happening?
Yeah, so then it fast forwards
Yep.
to her having birthday cake with her daughter, like, who's 8, 10-ish maybe.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, can I have a second piece to take with me to whatever? And the daughter goes up into the attic where they're now storing the android who's just sitting there, like, staring at a wall until the daughter comes up and is like, hey. And
hey, Dad. She says Dad.
No, she called him by his name.
Really?
Yeah, she doesn't call him Dad. But it's super,
good.
like... And then it ends on a
Maybe
shot.
I wanted her to.
Yeah, it ends on and it ends on a shot of the main character just like standing at the bottom of the attic ladder, just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, really, just
like, this is so fucked up.
It's so weird. Like, I mean, it's this android of her dad. It's such a weird just situation.
And boom, it ends.
And then it just ends. Which, great. This was one of those episodes. I thought it needed to be longer.
Yeah, I agree. We agreed on that. Like, it needed to be at least 20, 30 minutes longer.
Yeah, it needed more, like, because it's such a breakneck speed of, like...
Yeah, so we told you, like, this, in this 2-minute or 5-minute little glib, how great of an episode it seemed. It really wasn't that great of an episode for the series and what they have built up to.
Yeah, I mean, it was just weak, because there was, like, the guy dying didn't have enough impact for me, and, like... No. Just her relationship with the android was so breakneck.
There's no character development for the guy for you to care about him.
Yeah, like he's kind of sucked, really.
Yeah, and he did kind of suck as an actor. Honestly,
well, no, just as a character.
The character they built for the actor, yeah.
I was just like,
and then they want you to rely on her.
Yeah, she has to carry the whole thing,
and she can't. She just can't, in my opinion. Maybe if they had more time with it and they could do more stuff.
I think she could
slow
carry
everything
it
down, pace it differently.
I think she couldn't carry it at that pace. Like, it was way too, because it was so fast. Like, everything that happened. So it was a good episode. It just wasn't it wasn't the best, certainly. Yeah,
and we got a few more left, and we'll get through them.
We'll
go into White Bear, which is one of my favorite episodes. Probably my second favorite. I don't know. It's in my top 3. An episode called White Bear. Do you want to? Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna crash course this like really fast through this. So, lady wakes up in her apartment, or what she assumes is her apartment. No recollection of anything. She doesn't know why she's there. What's going on? she's just freaking out, like, what the hell's going on? She goes outside and she sees people with their camera, like their cell phones.
Yeah.
And everybody's taking video of her, of just her.
They're all just filming her.
But nobody's responding. Like, she's like, what are you people doing? What is going on? Like, nobody's responding at all.
Yep.
And then some guy shows up with a shotgun and starts shooting at her and chasing her. And she runs into some other people that are like, oh my god, there's like this disease, or like a thing that's spreading through the cell phones and TV signals, and it makes people just take video of you, and it doesn't affect a handful of people, and most of the people that it doesn't affect end up just being like vicious social, like murderers and shit, just walking around like, we're gonna kill them. Yeah. And so she meets up with these people, and they're running away from this guy that's trying to kill him, and like the episode is, she's like just freaking out the whole time. She has no idea what's going on. And she's freaking out the whole time. She has no idea what's going on. This guy's trying to kill her. Yeah. Some other people trying to kill her. And you're just like, what the fuck is happening? It's really fast paced.
And you're just like, holy shit. Like, okay, now she meets up with a girl and a guy. And they're like, come with us. And she's like, okay. She trusts anyone because she doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
That's the only people that are talking to her. And they're trying to keep her alive. And like the guy dies. And the girl that she's with has a plan to shut down the transmitter that's sending out these signals, right? So they go to this place, and they have to go to White Bear. It's called, like, the White Bear Television Center or whatever. Like, it's the place where the signal's coming from. So they go in there, and there's a couple people chasing them in there, and you get to the scene where, I mean, she's just freaking, what the hell's going on? And these two people are getting in a fight. Like, the lady she's there with is fighting with some other person, and this guy has a shotgun, but she manages to get the shotgun away from him. The main character does. And she shoots him with the shotgun, but a bunch of confetti comes out.
Yeah, that's where I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're like, what is happening? And then everybody goes, hey! Like, all of a sudden you just hear, like, cheering, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And the wall behind the guy she shot opens up, and there's a studio audience behind it, and there's spotlights, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Was it a game show the whole time? And they sit her down in this chair, and they strap her ass to the chair, like, so she can't get out of it.
Yeah.
They spin her around, and then they make her watch a news report, and it turns out that the main character and her fiancé, at some time previous in the past, had kidnapped a girl and killed her, and she had filmed the whole thing on her camera phone.
On her phone.
And they went through the trial, and they got sentenced to shit. Like, the judge said the punishment will fit the crime, something like that.
Yeah. And so she's sentenced to a world that she essentially created when her and her fiancé killed this kid, did this horrendous act. You have all your sympathy is for her, the whole episode.
Yeah, so the whole episode.
She's the hero, point. You want her to get away, you're like, come on, go. And it turns out she is the worst person imaginable.
She's a really
The other
shitty
people
person.
that were... Everyone else is essentially an actor. Well, not everyone. The couple of people that are involved in the story part of it are actors.
Yeah, so the lady she was following and the guy that was hunting her, they're all actors.
And the people with the cameras, they pay to get that spot.
Yeah,
right?
So it turns out that the people with the cameras are like, the whole thing is taking place at the White Bear Justice Park.
Justice Park.
And it's like this place where they torture this lady day in and day out, and people just come and they pay to fucking come and be part of the show and just film this lady and like totally just...
So they it's called White Bear Justice Park because the kid that she killed had a white teddy bear.
Had a white teddy bear, and that was like the only piece of evidence for the whole like, case or whatever.
And so they drug her up, right? And it's just for her to have the same experience over again. Yeah, and it shows one of the main villain characters.
The guy that was hunting her the whole time.
Which these aren't villains. These are good guys in a way, but it's really...
No.
They're terrible people. I don't know what to say.
So this is... Okay, so...
There's a justice
finish the finish the recap is the lead hunter guy. It shows him putting her in the chair that she started the episode in.
She's all drugged up.
Yeah, dumping some pills on the floor, and she's like, please stop doing it. Like, please stop. This is fucking crazy. And he puts a thing on her head, and he's like, hey, this takes about half an hour, and it's going to, like, erase her memories.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
And then she's, like, screaming, like, blood-curdling, just horrible screaming while this happens. And he just walks out, like, ho-hum, whatever, doopy-doop, and, like, this is my job. And
he walks to the calendar.
Yeah, so there was a calendar she saw right at the beginning of the episode that had a bunch of days checked off on it. And he walks over to the calendar and just checks off another day. And you're like, oh my god, they've been doing this for at least like 2.5 weeks of just burning out her brain and having her live this over and over again. It's fucking horrifying. And that's basically where it ends.
That's the end. And it's like, you watch this episode and you're like, holy shit. Like, this this shows you just a different set of. I don't know. It made me. I had the chills at the end. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, so I think like the question is like, and the thing I'm gonna get into is, like, who is the villain in this? Who's the good guy? Who's the villain? Like, because it's, at a certain, she's this horrible person. She does horrible shit.
And our justice system is really taking technology thing way too far.
Yeah, and then but she's also being tortured, like very obviously tortured. Like what they're doing to her is an atrocity. Like it's
fucked up.
Like it's the kind of thing. Yeah, it's completely fucked up, and it is wrong. And these people are doing it like ho hum. I mean, this is our job, whatever.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, it's like a TV show, and they're like actor, and like the guy that runs the place is just like he really fucking hates her, and like.
Yeah,
it's easy to see how people he's not considering the implications of what he's doing and how horrifying it is, and how like punishing her in a way that is like reminiscent of what she did to this kid is like it really just turned them into monsters, right? Like if you stare into the abyss long enough, it's gonna stare back into the earth. Like be careful hunting monsters, you don't become a monster yourself. I'm trying to think of the quotes.
Yeah.
And and that's what they okay, she did this horrible thing, so let's become terrible, horrifying people to punish her for it. And so it's just
this fucked up circle.
Yeah, it's this really screwed up circle, and it's a great episode.
It's an amazing episode, and one of the highlights of the show for sure. Do you want? Let's save the last two.
Yeah, we'll get into those.
We'll save the last two for another time. Those are. They're two. One of them is good, and the other one is my favorite.
Excellent. Yeah. So for anybody, if you're listening this far and you haven't seen the show, if you're just into the spoiler, you're like, whatever spoilers. The very last episode of Black Mirror, you've got a week. If you watch none of the other episodes, just watch that one.
It's called White Christmas. You might relate a little bit. It has an American actor, John Hamm, is in it.
John Hamm in it. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing. I was really the rest of the show was
hop
great.
on Netflix, go to episode 7, bam, you'll watch it, and you'll get to hear what we think about it next week.
It's incredible. Yeah, we'll go into it next week,
and we're going to talk some gaming next week. We're going to talk some other fun stuff, maybe more Olympics. Nah, fuck that.
Nah,
we're not talking more Olympics. Anyways, you guys have a good one. You can catch us. Where?
Yeah, so you can catch me on Twitter at xthodan. That's XTHODAN.
You can catch me at Tracker Undertow, and if you don't know how to spell that, go fuck yourself.
I only spell it just because it's if I say xthodan, it's
short
what are those letters? Yeah, and it's we also have a Facebook group.
We do have a Facebook group. You can find us at just search for Shut Up and Talk to Me
I think
podcast.
It's Facebook groups. Shut Up and Talk to Me. If you just Facebook search it, you'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. And then we do want to say that we are going to be offering our podcasts on different platforms soon enough.
At some point, yeah, hopefully.
So via iTunes, hopefully you're going to get a chance to really download this and kind of take it on your own. Mm-hmm. Do what you want with it. Listen to
something a little more malleable than YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube was just a jumping off point for us to get the show started, really understand where we were going with this, and we're realizing that we're having a lot of fun with it. And we're going to keep doing it.
We just spent an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, we just spent a long ass time talking about two things.
Yeah.
So
we're enjoying it. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you come back to enjoy it some more.
Yes. Throw some comments down. You can always talk to us in any of the factors that we send you.
Yeah, YouTube comments, Facebook. Yeah, seriously, hit us up.
Yeah. You guys have a good one, and we will see you soon.